There is a mountain in Greece that no woman has been allowed to enter for over 1,000 years. Not a woman from the village below, not a queen, not a president, not even a female animal. And the reason, when you finally hear it, is not what anyone expects. I'm about to take you inside this place, and by the end of this video, you'll understand not just why the ban exists, but why, after 1,000 years of empires, wars, and the European Union itself trying to dismantle it, it still stands today. It is 2 o'clock in the morning. Somewhere on a dark mountainside in northern Greece, a single monk steps out into a stone courtyard. He carries a wooden mallet. He begins to strike a hanging plank, slow, rhythmic, echoing through the cold air. One by one, black-robed figures emerge from the shadows. No one speaks. They file into a candlelit church and take their places. The chanting begins. This happens every single night. It has happened every single night for over 1,000 years. Welcome to Mount Athos. The peninsula of Mount Athos juts 50 kilometers into the Aegean Sea in northern Greece. According to UNESCO, its steep slopes are cloaked in dense Mediterranean forest, chestnut trees, ancient oaks, wild cedar, and rising above it all is the mountain itself, 2,000 meters of dark rock climbing straight out of the sea. Along the coastline, 20 stone monasteries cling to the cliffs and hillsides overlooking turquoise water. Some sit right at the shore with their own harbors and ports. Others are built high on sheer rock faces, so high above the sea that they appear to hang between the cliff and the sky. Walls crowned by domes, Byzantine towers, ancient footpaths connecting them through the forest, unchanged since the Middle Ages. From the water, it is one of the most striking sights in the world, and it has been absolutely off-limits to women for over 1,000 years. According to scholar Graham Speake, author of Mount Athos, Renewal in Paradise, this peninsula has operated as a self-governing monastic republic since 972 AD. It issues its own entry visas. It runs on the Byzantine calendar, 13 days behind the rest of the world. Its clocks run on Byzantine time, where the day begins not at midnight but at sunset. It sits inside the European Union, and yet it holds a permanent exemption Brussels has never revoked, because this mountain, the monks say, does not belong to Greece. It does not belong to the EU. It belongs to someone else entirely. We will get to that. But first, you need to understand what life actually looks like inside these walls. The day begins at 2 in the morning. That wooden mallet, the talenton, a plank the monks have struck since the Byzantine era, echoes through the stone corridors. The monks rise, not to an alarm clock, not to a phone. The wood and the mallet as they have been for 1,000 years. They file into the Catholicon, the main church, and the chanting begins, the Orthodox, the divine liturgy. 5 consecutive hours of worship before the sun fully rises over the Aegean Sea. The light inside is candlelight. The voices are the only sound. Then the first meal of the day. 15 minutes. Eaten in total silence while one monk reads scripture aloud from a lectern. Bread, vegetables, fish, water. No conversation, no news from outside, no world beyond these walls. Then work. Every monk has a duty assigned by the abbot, the head of the monastery. Some tend the gardens, some bake the bread, some make wine, some paint icons. A single icon can take years to complete, every brushstroke an act of prayer. Some work in the libraries, carefully preserving manuscripts older than most nations on earth. All of it done, the monks say, with prayer on the lips throughout. 8 hours of prayer, 8 hours of work, 8 hours of rest, every day, every year, for a lifetime. At sunset, the monastery gates close. They have closed at sunset every single evening for over 1,000 years. But here is the part that genuinely stops people. On the cliffside slopes above the sea, there are hermits, men who have chosen to live entirely alone, not in monasteries, but in caves, cut into the rock face, hanging over the water. They have no regular contact with the other monks. Some have not spoken to another human being in years. Not because they are punished, not because they are forgotten, because silence for them is not emptiness. It is the whole point. Now, why are women banned? To understand that, you have to go back to the story the monks believe with absolute, unshakable conviction, the story that explains everything about this place. In the 1st century AD, the Virgin Mary and the Apostle John were sailing from Joppa to Cyprus to visit Lazarus, when a violent storm blew their ship off course. The vessel was forced to anchor on the coast of this peninsula, jutting into the Aegean. Mary stepped ashore. The peninsula stretched out before her, dense ancient forest sweeping down to shimmering turquoise water, stone cliffs rising from the sea, a great mountain climbing 2,000 meters above it all. According to Athonite tradition, Mary was overwhelmed by the mountain's wonderful and wild natural beauty. She fell to her knees and asked her son to give this place to her. The voice that answered said, "Let this place be your inheritance and your garden, a paradise and a haven of salvation for those seeking to be saved." From that moment, this mountain was hers. The Garden of the Virgin Mary, her personal sanctuary on earth. And that is precisely why the monks say, no other woman may ever enter. The very beauty that moved Mary to her knees, those same cliffs, that same forest, that same sea, belongs to her alone. No other woman may share her garden. There is another reason, one as old as Eden. These men have taken vows of celibacy, renouncing every comfort, every attachment the world carries. The entire peninsula is, in effect, one vast monastery, and even the smallest temptation, the faintest echo of the world they left behind, has no place inside these walls. This is why the ban has a name. It is called the Avaton, an ancient Greek word meaning entry prohibited. Byzantine Emperor Constantine Monomachos sealed it into law in 1046. And it has been enforced without a single exception ever since. Mount Athos has survived the Crusaders who attacked it in the 13th century. It survived the Catalan mercenaries who sacked the peninsula in the 14th. It survived nearly 5 centuries of Ottoman rule. And here is the extraordinary thing about that. When Constantinople fell to the Ottomans in 1453, the Byzantine Empire was erased from history. Churches were looted, libraries burned, thousands of manuscripts, many the only copies in existence, were lost forever or scattered across the Islamic world and Europe. But not here. For centuries, the monks of Mount Athos had been quietly collecting manuscripts, icons, imperial documents, and sacred treasures behind those locked library doors. The Ottomans, who largely left the peninsula alone, never fully understood what was accumulating inside. The mountain that had sealed itself off from the world accidentally became the world's greatest vault of Byzantine civilization. As Byzantine scholar Yanis Niehoff Panagiotidis of the Free University of Berlin has revealed, the monastic libraries contain roughly 25,000 Ottoman-era manuscripts, including the oldest Ottoman administrative documents anywhere in the world, dating to 1371. Older than anything preserved in Istanbul itself. The monks were not trying to preserve history, they were trying to pray. History was saved as a side effect. Today, the number of monks on Mount Athos is growing. For the first time in centuries, young men from across the Orthodox world are arriving and asking to join. They are giving up careers, families, the internet, and everything the modern world offers, to wake before dawn, strike a wooden plank, and chant by candlelight until the sun rises over the Aegean Sea. The European Union has challenged the women's ban. Feminists have protested at the coastline. A handful of women across the centuries, some disguised as sailors, some dressed as men, have snuck inside. Each time the monks have responded not as if a law had been broken, but as if the Queen's garden had been trespassed. The ban still stands, today, in the 21st century, on European soil. Whether the Avaton is a sacred boundary that must be honored, or an ancient injustice the world has simply forgotten to dismantle? That is not a question this story will answer for you. But one thing is undeniable. For over 1,000 years, while empires rose and fell around it, while languages died and civilizations vanished, and the world transformed beyond recognition, every morning before dawn on this mountainside above the Aegean Sea, that wooden mallet has struck the plank, and the monks have risen. Some things, it turns out, do not change. If this story moved you, subscribe to Truly Historical and hit the like button. Share it with someone who would never expect a story like this. Every week, another incredible true story from history, and you will not want to miss what is coming next.